Hi, it's Laura at Aquamarine18. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Welcome or welcome back. This is the second of two parts of my April 2021 recap video. I've already shared the books that I've read in April. This portion of the update will have pretty much everything else that's usually included in the end of month video. So just some random musings as well as the divination tools I've worked with the most in the past month. I will talk a little bit about the animal of the month for April and choose a new animal card for May. And I'll also pick some TBR cards to inspire May's reading. But before I get into any of that, I wanted to wish folks a happy holiday today on May 1st. So a happy Beltane or a happy Samhain, depending on which hemisphere you are in, as well as a happy holiday to anyone else having other holidays that I'm not familiar with but may encompass or fall on May 1st. I have no doubt that there are other holidays on May 1st as well. And a happy May Day. May 1st for me is May Day, and I celebrate it as May Day as somebody who's involved in labor organizing, anarchist organizing. So I have a bit of a springtime, and some of the associations, I guess, with Beltane come in, but so do, for me, what May Day means as an International Workers' Day as well. And so I wanted to just share something about that. I'm always liking to read something related to May Day, May Day's history, or May Day's significance, every May 1st as something that I would do to celebrate that day. So I found one that I thought folks might like to hear, and this is just something really short, and it's from this book, Lucy Parsons, Freedom, Equality, Solidarity, Writings and Speeches, 1878 to 1937. And this is Lucy Parsons here. If you're not familiar with Lucy Parsons, she is a very important figure in the history of the labor movement, the history of anarchism. She was a founder of the Industrial Workers of the World, IWW. She was a speaker, she was a journalist, and an author, and a feminist, and an agitator in all kinds of important ways for social justice. She's really great to read and to learn about, so I'd encourage you to learn about Labor Day and about Lucy Parsons. And so I was reading this book for her piece called Stray Thoughts on May Day. And so this was written in 1912 in a political newspaper called The Agitator. And so this is just a little piece of that excerpt. And Lucy Parsons writes, May 1st has marked a time in the long procession of the centuries. The beautiful month of May, when all nature emerges from her long, dreary winter sleep. Beautiful month of springtime and flowers. Man too revives his hopes and renews his resolves, for he also feels the flood tide of nature in his own being and responds as best he can to her charming voice. What more appropriate time could the workers choose to renew their efforts to inaugurate a better day, a better life for themselves? And so I like that, connecting the feeling of springtime, at least where I live anyway. Of course, it's not spring everywhere, but connecting that feeling of the emergence of springtime with the significance of May Day as a radical labor day. So that's from Lucy Parsons. Thought that might be something to share. So April updates for me. I finally finished the school year. I had a big final push of grading that took up quite a bit of time at the end of March and into the beginning of April. So I've been working on grading final term papers and getting, all the grades in on time and things like this. So now that is all finished, I am only working my second job for the next couple of months. So I feel like a big sigh in terms of having just more time to myself for now. I do have some other projects that I'm working on, but the teaching part, which is a large time commitment in my main job that is the most hours of my day, is finished for now until September. So that's a really good feeling. We also celebrated the 1-year anniversary of cohabitating. Myself and my partner, we moved in a year ago as of today, like in terms of living together and not also having our own places. So that was something. Needless to say, with the world situation that it is, we have not had a housewarming or anything like that. So we're hoping to kind of have an anniversary of a housewarming, something, when it is both safe and permissible to do that. We're in a stay-at-home order right now, so it will not be right now, but with the weather warming up and being able to see people outside, I'm looking forward to that, of course. I'm also really excited for this month, May, because I'm going to be taking the Elements of Magic class, which is a core class in Reclaiming Tradition Witchcraft. I've never done anything like this before. I really have almost no experience with any kind of magic making in a group. So I'm really, really looking forward to this learning. It's going to be, of course, over Zoom and Discord. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm sure I'll have things to say about that and my experiences of that and how I'm feeling about that as it goes on. But it starts next week. So I'm looking forward to that. I feel like those are the big personal life things, I guess, that I would share in an update like this. So divination tools that I've worked with the most this month. I have some wonderful divination tools to work with this month. So one of those is the Geomantic Visions coins from the Cosmovisions Kickstarter for geomancy. So the way that I've organized mine, they came with this pouch to keep the coins in. And then inside of that, I had this other bag, which I've put the 4 small elemental tokens in it, because it came with these 16 large coins that have the geomantic figures on them. There's Carcer. And its pair, Conjunctio. So I've been looking at these as well as also these smaller ones, which can also be used for geomancy, making a chart. So these ones, there's one for each element, and there's a single element symbol on one side and a double on the other. So I really like these. Like, this is more my style, actually, in terms of doing a geomancy chart, but I've been kind of getting to know both of them as I'm continuing to study and practice and explore geomancy. I'm reading another book about geomancy right now as well, which is called, I think it's called Geomancy in Theory and Practice by Stephen Skinner. So I've been reading that and looking at the geomancy tokens and exploring how I might work with those. So far, the little elemental tokens are what I actually like to use more so than the large ones, but they're beautiful. I love them both. And speaking of Cosmovisions Oracle, I also had gotten in my package these kind of postcard-sized meditation on past lives art cards. And so these are the kind of the major arcana equivalent in the Cosmovisions Oracle, which I'm feeling more and more like I'm going to end up reading like a tarot more so than an oracle, because it very much does have that structure. And so I worked with these cards, one per day, and did a meditation on each. Each of these cards has a short meditation on the back, which is also in the guidebook. And part of that was just as a meditation practice, and part of that was just to get to know this kind of system that James Eads has come up with, and the way that these 22 kind of, I'll call them majors anyway, trace, a particular understanding of or story about the time between lives, in a kind of a cycle of reincarnation, if you will. So getting to know by way of thinking about the associations, the names for the cards and the imagery that James has chosen for those cards as they relate to what he calls their mirror card in the Major Arcana of a tarot deck. So I worked through those, and that was really great. And I think I'm actually going to work through one of the geomancy books I read, the one by John Michael Greer, talks about geomancy meditations and meditation with the geomancy figures. So I think I'm going to do that next in order to get to know these 16 different figures that he has associated with the different geomancy figures. So that's something that I'm looking forward to continuing to do as well. I've been trying to keep up working with geomancy as the course that I took in geomancy with Kelly Fitzgerald has been over for a while, and I don't want to lose the learning, right? So I've been incorporating that into, not a daily practice, but doing a different mix of sometimes just kind of week ahead geomancy chart, or on a particular question when I feel inclined to do that. I'm doing a geomancy because I want to make sure that I keep that in the knowledge base, I guess, that I have, and get to know it more and more, because it's a system that I really like, and I have this great coins to work with. So I've worked with the Cosmovisions. I also have been working a lot with, and I've done a full video about this, the Flora and Fauna of Africa Oracle deck by Jessie Jumanji. This deck is amazing. As I shared in my review of the deck, I've been choosing often maybe an animal a day, again, not daily. I'm not good at sticking with things in a really consistent way, but when I feel inclined, picking one in the morning and then learning about it, thinking about the message that's included, and I'm looking forward to now, actually, I'm going to be using this deck for picking the animal of the month going forward. So at the end of this video, I will choose an animal from this deck, and because this deck also has, each has a flora and a fauna on each card, I'll have a plant of the month to learn about as well. So I think I will only take out the giraffe card from this one, because we already had giraffe as an animal of the month during 2021, and I'd rather not to double up this soon in the year, but I'll pick an animal in this video from there. It's a great deck. It's a really great deck for single card draws, for daily draws, for animal of the month, all kinds of things, and I'm really enjoying learning about some new animals in the deck, in particular, new animals to me. I also have a couple of tarot decks to share that are very special, that are new to me. One is that I have received as a very kind and very loved and dearly appreciated gift from my friend, the Gaian Tarot, the Llewellyn edition. And I'd been looking and looking for this, and had not had any luck to find it. So I ended up getting the limited edition, which is much larger cards. And so I was so overjoyed, and I cried to be offered this wonderful, wonderful gift. And I've been really enjoying working with this deck. This is the deck that I'm going to have, I think, my May Day reading with later on today. I really like the guidebook that goes along with this deck. I like the colors in this deck. It's a really wonderful one. And so I'm really happy to have this copy, and I will cherish it. And I've been working with it for the most of the month, or since I got it anyway, most of the month since I got it. The other tarot deck that I have been working with is a prototype deck. So please do not go bugging the creator of this deck. This is a prototype deck. It is not for sale right now. And that is the Rose deck by Colin, who also created the Ocean Dry Tarot. So the Rose deck is a pip deck, and in it the majors are they have this kind of purple wash to them, like that, and then the wands, or like rods maybe, have a reddy orange color to them. The cups have blue and a kind of gray blue. The swords are yellow. Yellow is the color that I associate with air as well, so that's perfect. For me, I use a yellow dice when I'm doing geomancy for the air line, so the yellowy orange is perfect. The coins have green. So this is a pip deck. It's not quite, it's not Marseille. It's not the Marseille arrangement. But I've been really enjoying this. It feels very springy to me with these different colors. The majors are really interesting. Different imagery for sure that I'm working on learning. This is the Hermit and the Wheel. So that's the Rose deck. Again, it's a prototype. Don't go bug Colin about it. But you know, hopefully it will be a forthcoming deck someday. And so I've been really enjoying having the chance to work with that one as well. So that one and the Gaian have been really the two tarot decks that I've worked with this month the most. So the animal of the month for April for me was the Ladybug. And this is the Ladybug card from the Animal Allies 2 by Jessica Swift. They're great oracle decks, 1 and 2, and they of course match the back so you can shuffle them together. And this is the first animal in 2021 that I've drawn the card for that I've actually seen, and seen in person or in animal during the month. So I have seen ladybugs during April, which was fun and feels special, you know. And I will say as well that this month, learning about the ladybug, I've actually ended up quite close to the meanings suggested in the pamphlet for the Animal Allies 2 deck to go with this card. So in the pamphlet, Jessica Swift talks about ladybugs being associated with luck, with wishes, with dreams being fulfilled in their time, you know, in the time that they should be. And this immediately actually made sense to me because growing up, I definitely knew of and had been told, you know, as a kid, that you could make a wish if you saw a ladybug, that they were, you know, in that sense, associated with wish fulfillment, and they were a good bug to see. So as I've been reading about the ladybug this past month, and you know, watching videos about ladybugs and so on, I've learned that this association of a ladybug with being lucky and being a good, a fortunate sign to see a ladybug is quite a widespread association that exists. I learned that in Catholicism that the ladybug is associated with the 7 joys and 7 sorrows of Mary. And some ladybugs, but certainly not all, have 7 dots, and that's where the 7 joys and 7 sorrows association comes from. But there's thousands of species of ladybugs, which are not actually bugs, they're actually beetles. But sometimes they're called ladybirds too, and they're not birds either. So the ladybug, and they come in all different colors, and they do not all have the same number of dots. But the 7 dots is associated with Mary for that reason. And because of that, lots of languages, particularly European languages are the ones that I learned the most about, have words for this beetle that, like ladybug, have a reference to lady or something to do with Mary right in the name. So that is a widespread association for the ladybug. And in terms of exploring, where does the association with luck come from? Partly there's the idea, I've learned, that it is unlucky to accidentally kill a ladybug because of its association with Mary. So there's that in terms of luck. But I also learned other reasons that I think that the ladybug might be a fortunate sign or be associated with luck. One is that it's a great one for farmers or gardeners to see, because they eat a lot of insects like aphids that are harmful to crops and to gardens. So having ladybugs in your garden is great for that reason, right? And they will just kind of move on if there's no more pests in the garden. So they're great to see in that way. And I've even learned that some gardeners will introduce ladybugs in order for this to happen, in order for them to eat aphids and other things that eat vegetable gardens or crops or things like that. So that's a kind of luck, I think, as well. And they're also, just because of the way that they suspend their growth cycle during inclement weather, they're also one of the first to appear of all of the beetles and insects and bugs in the spring in a lot of places. And that is true where I live. The ladybug is often the first one that you see, often inside the house. So that, in a sense, could be a lucky thing as well, because you think about, spring is coming and winter is finally going and things are warming up. And so it's a fortunate sign to see the ladybug, because that's another sign of that. So that's what I've learned about the ladybug, that the ladybug is a very lucky and fortunate thing to see indeed. So I've enjoyed learning that about the ladybug. Next, I would like to pick an animal for May. I'm not going to pick the giraffe because we already had the giraffe, but I am picking from the Flora and Fauna of Africa by Jessie Jumanji, my newest animal oracle deck, and absolutely right away one of my favorite animal oracle decks. And so again, we'll have an animal and a plant for May. What animal and plant should I, and then share with you all, explore during the month of May 2021? That's one. Camel, Arabian camel. And this is Camelus dromedarius. I know that there's a couple of types of camels, so that's interesting, with different numbers of humps. I don't know a lot about camels, though. So Arabian camel with the plant burdock. Burdock has the keyword of persistence. And there's the camel there, and the burdock. And the message of Arabian camel is: be patient and persistent in your journey. You are on the right path. Be sure to care for yourself first so that you can care for others. So there's aspects of self-care And also, I feel like, preparation and ensuring that you have the things that you need there with the camel, as well as being persistent with both camel and burdock. So at the end of the month, I will share my learnings about the Arabian camel and about burdock. I do know that burdock is widely distributed. We have burdock in my region. So there's that beautiful image of the camel there. Arabian camel and burdock for May. And finally, I would like to pick a few TBR cards. And TBR cards are by Jessie of Bow Ties and Books on YouTube and Instagram. I've got a video sharing about this deck as well. So some TBR cards for May's reading. Oh, usually I roll a dice. Usually I roll to see how many cards I should pick. We can do that. Wouldn't it be something to roll the d20? Not going to do that. Okay. D6. How many TBR cards for May? Oh, okay. It almost went off the edge of the desk. But we have the same as last month, which is 4. Almost lost one there. Okay. 4 cards. And I'm not going to get the same cards as I had for April because they're actually, those 4 cards are sitting in the other room. So there'll be some new ones. What should inspire my reading for May? Okay. We'll just pick right off the top. Ooh. Science fiction and fantasy with an Asian protagonist. I have ideas. I think I have a book on my Kindle that will fit that. So, when science fiction and fantasy is the prompt. Excellent. Okay, second card. A work of Afrofuturism. And that's Tochi Onyebuchi card. Tochi Onyebuchi has a novella nominated for the Hugo this year, Riot Baby. That was excellent. A work of Afrofuturism. Ooh. Telephone. Friend picks a word. Read a book with that word in the title. Who will I have pick me a word to read a book with that word in the title? That could end up being anything. And the fourth card, Thunderbird Woman. Read a book by an Indigenous author. Okay. That is a very diverse and wide range of reading for May. That's good. Okay, so I have a book by an Indigenous author. Friend picks a word and I read a book with that word in the name. I have a work of Afrofuturism and sci-fi fantasy, which is fiction, with an Asian protagonist. It is going to be a really good reading month, I can just tell. And it might even be a bigger than usual reading month because of not having lots of student essays to read since the semester is over. So I am really looking forward to these cards. If you have read anything interesting in the month of April, let me know. If you have any favorite books that fall into those categories that I shared, let me know. I look forward to chatting with you all in the comments as always. Let me know what decks you've been working with in particular for this month and so on. I wish everybody again a happy holiday. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.